everyone, and welcome to our January 28th, 2020 council meeting. I can tell you that we started the meeting at 6 p.m. because we had an in-camera session. That in-camera session is complete. So having said that, I now need to read a motion. Moved by Councillor Hergert, seconded by Councillor Hutchison, be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby returns to open session at 7:10 p.m. Members of Council, questions, comments on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. So I can tell you that only the item that we did go in camera for was the only item that was addressed. So before we go on, I do want to mention, as I did at the call of the meeting, that we do have regrets from Councillor Stephen Townsend on this. Okay. There's no follow-up for our closed session. So we are now on item 5, which is matters arising from closed session. That is an NA. Item 6, comment period. We have a couple, well, we have 3 members of our community in the audience. Do either any of you have any comments that you wish to make at this time? Oh, all right. Happy New Decade to all of you. Thank you for that. Item 7, public meetings, NA. Item 8, which is part 1, consent agenda. I have a motion before me, moved by Councillor Hamilton, seconded by Councillor Shea. Be it resolved that items A1 to A3 inclusive contained in Part 1 consent agenda be adopted as printed, and further that authorization be given to the action to be taken as may be necessary to give effect to the recommendations contained therein. Questions, comments? Councillor Hamilton, please.
Just a comment to staff to say thank you for adding a few more details to the December 17th minutes. It's great, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for acknowledging that, but also for bringing it forward to enhance our minutes. So that's well appreciated. Anything further? All right, on the motion. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Okay. Thank you very much. All right, so that is swiftly going to take us over to item 9, which is part 2, regular agenda, and item 10, communications from mayor and members of council. I can tell you that I attended the Ontario, ROMA, Rural Ontario Municipality Association Conference. It was extremely worthwhile. We had one delegation with Assistant Minister MPP Bill Walker, who is the Assistant Minister to the Ministry of Energy. The issue was dealing with a potential industry that could be in West Grey, dealing with CanAssist and the potential for additional electricity infrastructure, as well as natural gas. In addition to speaking to MPP Walker about CanAssist and the needs to have that type of industry be considered for West Grey, we also spoke to the minister with regard to natural gas and the potential for Ayton and Neustadt. And it was very fortunate because I did receive a call from Brian Lenny of Enbridge, who identified that there is still pending the regulations, but there will be a time that Ayton and Neustadt potentially would be considered for natural gas. So we're doing everything we can from a municipal council and staff to facilitate that occurring. So it's still at the beginning stages, shall I say, the very beginning stages, because the regulations have not been put forward, but you have a council that is very determined to see if that can be done. So stay tuned. That is just by way of a report at this stage, that, but everything is just in the very beginning. There's no confirmation of it, or that it is, it's just the fact that it's being addressed at this point. So stay tuned for all of the updates on that. Just that council's working very hard with Enbridge, and we will also be having a delegation from Enbridge in the near future. So that will afford more action. Okay, that's all I want to say at this point. I know members of council have much to add, so I'll start with Councillor Hergert, please.
So there's a few items out online right now, one being the library survey that's also come out in our interim tax bill. So I encourage everyone to fill that out to help the library get some data and details. Our vision document earlier this morning, we approved in principle our vision document. And so that should be reviewed by everybody that participated. And we're anticipating that coming forward to our next council meeting in March. Approximately. I was hoping that possibly our clerk could give an update on the Dipple drain, if that would be possible, just for communication out.
Is that something you're prepared to respond to?
Yeah, if I recall, there was some discussion with the West Grey Drainage engineer, Stephen Cobain of Cobite Engineering. They are waiting, that Dietrich Engineering, who's our drainage engineer, is waiting for comments from the Department of Fisheries and Oceans before they proceed with the next stages. Unfortunately, that report has been somewhat delayed in being remitted to Dietrich Engineering, so hopefully that'll be done shortly and then the process can continue. It has been a lengthy process to date.
Okay, thank you. Further? Thank you for that update. Councillor Shea, please.
I don't have anything really specific to report, but I just feel like I've been meeting about budgets every other day for the last month.
That's true.
So we're getting near the end of the budget cycle, and it'd be nice to move on to some other things.
Thank you for that very nice report. Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor Robinson. I just want to congratulate the West Grey Chamber of Commerce first off because they secured a $10,000 Digital Main Street grant, and I think that's a lot of work involved with that, and good things are going to be happening throughout West Grey. I think that's just a fantastic leadership that they've done. That'll be working with economic development and BIA. I think is going to be the whole kind of everything folding together. I also attended Roma. I did attend the delegations with the mayors, so I won't repeat what we've done there, but hopefully good things are coming for Ayton and Newstead as well. I'm looking forward to some updates on that. As far as the arenas, we're finally starting to see the tail end of it. We had 5 tournaments in January for minor hockey, so it was good to see our arenas continue to be filled on the weekends with that. And I think that's it, so we'll just pass the mic down.
Very good and
Thank you, Mayor.
comprehensive. Councillor Hamilton, please.
I attended a homecoming community meeting for Durham Homecoming, and our Councillor Townsend is sitting on the committee, but this was a meeting open up to the whole community to come out, learn about the Durham Homecoming, which is now booked for the first weekend of July 2022, and Durham is turning 150 years old. So it was a time to hear about what some of their ideas are. It was a time to toss out some ideas, but also they're looking for lots of volunteers. They must have had 20 different committees that you could join. I joined 2, but they are still looking for more committee members. So keep your eyes and ears open for more information, but it's 2 years away, which seems like a long time, but it'll be here before you know it. So I was pleased to go out, and thanks to Councillor Townsend for being part of that as well.
Thank you. Councillor Hutchison, please.
Yeah, so I too am looking forward to getting to the end of our budget deliberation. So hopefully we will come up with a figure. It is a challenge to try to meet all of our needs and demands, especially considering where some of our infrastructure is at right now. So that's in the works. Look forward to finishing that up. I too went to Roma, and I always find with the conferences when you get to them that there's lots to learn, and it's interesting to come back and we share as a council some of the items, some of the sessions we went to, and share the information. So it's very rewarding, and it's always look for new ideas that we can bring back and share. A couple of things coming up. One is Frazzle Fest weekends coming up February 14th to 17th, which the BIA heads that up, and I'm on that committee, and there's a number of activities coming forward. Hopefully the posters will be out this week to give you some insight on what's happening, and I'll share that on media sites as soon as I have that. So look forward to that, and maybe put that out there that even some people want to get involved in the trivia on Friday night, because the funds raised from that will go towards Arts Fest. So, And just, I'm sure Councillor Shea remiss to mentioning this, but the art gallery has a train display on, I hear, and I haven't been there yet, but I think it's sounds like it's very interesting, and I know even I think Councillor Hamilton had some kind of vested interest in that, maybe through her better half, right? So that's it for me.
It's a very supportive council. And I just thank you very much, council, for all of your updates. Because we have the first vice of the New Stettin Carrick Agricultural Society in, pardon me? What's that? You're the president now. Oh, okay. Oh, very good. See, I didn't attend the last meeting. So because we have the president of the New Stettin Carrick Agricultural Society in our audience, I do want to identify that this agricultural society is celebrating this year their 150th anniversary of the Fall Fair. So I just want to do a shout out to you. And also, we had a delegation this morning from the Grey County Federation of Agriculture, and that organization is celebrating their 80th anniversary this year. So that's just a couple points. All right, so we've swiftly moved off item 10 for communications. There's always something to do here in West Grey. Item number 11 is delegations. There are none on this agenda. Item 12, business arising from the previous meeting. Is there anything? Okay, thank you very much. For item 13, we have one report, and it is from the Director of Finance and Treasurer. This is dealing with our voucher, and it is voucher number 25-2019. And that is not a 2020 for this particular voucher, it is a 2019. Director Mighton, is there anything you wish us to know before I ask Council if there's questions?
Yeah, no, it's just a small voucher, just regular bills. There's nothing surprising. Just finishing up some 2019 year end.
Okay, questions? Councillor Herger.
One question, and
Please.
I'm happy our Infrastructure and Public Works Director is here. There's an $8,548 expense to Kells for a service call for the landfill packer, and I was curious the outcome of that. Seems like a bit of an expensive bill, but our packer will be fine?
Yes, it was, through your worship, I'm not exactly sure what the intricacies of the failure were with respect to the compactor, but when it does break down, it's at the landfill site, and you've got to bring mechanics out to have a look at it. If council wishes, I can provide a more in-depth report back at the next meeting with respect to that expense. The machine's fine, it will be working, it is working right now, but it's an older machine, so it tends to break down.
Does it warrant a report, or can we just?
No, I don't
Thank
think
you.
so. I just was hoping that, at the end of the year for a big expense like that, obviously we didn't probably see it coming, otherwise we would have
Right.
dealt with it sooner. And then as maintenance budgets go and so on, I mean, were you able to find that money in your budget from last year?
Yes?
Yeah, okay, very good, perfect.
Good, thank you for that. Further? Okay, so, on the motion, moved by Deputy Mayor Hutchison, seconded by Councillor Shea, be it resolved that the Director of Finance and Treasurer be authorized to pay the accounts presented as voucher number 25-2019 in the amount of $199,887.57 of the Municipality of West Grey. Questions on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Director Mighton. Okay, that is the only staff report. We are now,
Isn't there another one under Gary's
Is there?
report?
okay,
Court security?
thank you for that. Where is that? Okay, yes, here we go. Court Security and Prisoner Transportation Fund Agreement. Thank you very much, members of council, for that.
Yeah, so it'll be a bylaw that will be presented later in the meeting. It's an annual agreement that we have with the ministry, so it has gone up. It was 600 and change last year, so it's gone up to 4750, so it will further help to offset some of the costs for prisoner transportation.
Okay, that is contained, there is a bylaw attached, okay? So are there any questions at this stage? Councillor Hutchinson?
Yeah, I found it a little bit confusing because in the original document, it said there was $4,781 or something, but then under the Schedule B and the bylaw further down, it talks about $648 and 81 cents maximum funds. So are we, 2019, is that last year maybe? That's, I'm sure, so why is that still in there? Page, that's page 116 in our agenda is the part of Schedule B, a part of the bylaw. Yeah, I don't know. I was confused when I read it, so it doesn't take much some days, but
No, clarity is good to seek.
so according to my wife, anyway.
So I think I've grabbed the wrong, I've grabbed last year's agreement as an attachment there. So with the exception of that schedule, the agreement does remain the same as far as all of the other sections for the 2020. It's just the timing of when I look at the date, the agreement is, this version here is effective the first day of January 2019. So it's I've grabbed the wrong agreement as an attachment. So the corrected amount is the $4,750 is the annual amount that we'll get this year. And I will get that to the clerk. That's my error on that. When I sent him the agreement.
So I found it interesting. I read that, like, the document's like 25 pages long, and originally it was $600. Now it's up to $4,000. But a lot of it had to do with if we didn't use all that money, we have to make sure we get it back to the government and so on. And I thought, there's a typical example of red tape, that the 25 pages to say, if you don't spend this money, you better give it back to us. They don't mention anything about what happens if it costs us $5,000 or $6,000 for this program. I didn't see anything there that says you will receive extra funds if you go over your budget. So I'm thinking this is a typical example of a whole lot of paperwork for something that there isn't a lot of money involved in, at least for us. Now, I'm sure across, as it talked about, millions across the board, but I'm thinking for our staff, it probably costs us, previously was $600, probably costs us more than that to do the paperwork and to get all the information back that they're requesting. So I found it sort of crazy, but anyways, that's.
Okay, so I just want to point out, and so noted, and thank you for that clarity and also your points. After that, Councillor Hutchinson, you are the mover of that particular bylaw when it comes forward, and Councillor Hamilton, and for the rest of council, we'll be putting as amended, if you are okay with the fact that the appropriate schedule will be put in. So if that is the wish of this council, the bylaw will be read as amended for consideration of passage. Okay? Good. So that this particular report identifies that it relates to the proposed bylaw. So we are now off the reports and on to proposed bylaws with item 14. And I'm first dealing with, is this the right one, number 3? Yep, it is. Okay, so be it resolved that bylaw number 3-2020 being a bylaw to implement a condition of severance application B16/2019 by rezoning a portion of part lots 20 and 21, W Augusta Street, Plan 153, Geographic Township of Normanby, in brackets 405 Mary Street, Ayton, end of bracket, new bracket, BNB Insulation Inc. /Daryl Brill, ZA 10-10-19. Let me do it again. ZA-10-19, end of bracket. Be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Questions? I do want, but I will go to you, Councillor Hergert. Clerk Turner, can you just identify that further that this was not only at Committee of Adjustment, but also at Planning, and if you have anything further to add to it?
Right, so the Committee of the Whole Planning did recommend this bylaw for approval during the January 13th Committee of the Whole Planning meeting, and I can echo the same for the next bylaw, Bylaw 4 of 2020, when that comes up.
Councillor Hergert, please.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Clerk, for doing that. Actually, that's what I wanted. So if somebody has a cross-reference, they can go to the January 13th minutes of Committee of the Whole Planning, and there's our discussion and our recommendation to council. So thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments on the motion for the bylaw? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? It carries. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. This is number 4. All right. Moved by Councillor Hutchison, seconded by Councillor Hamilton. Be it resolved that bylaw number 4-2020, being a bylaw to implement a condition of severance application B18/2019 by rezoning part lot 26, concession 11 NDR, geographic township of Bentic, in brackets J Padfield Professional Corporation, ZA-11-19, end of bracket, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Questions, comments on the motion for the bylaw? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Moved by Deputy Mayor Hutchison, seconded by Councillor Shea. Be it resolved that bylaw number 5-2020, being a bylaw to regulate the keeping of hens, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. This too, Clerk Turner, was at the previous planning meeting, okay, and a number of other meetings. Having said that, questions, comments? Councillor Herger, please.
I have not made any bones about this. I'm not supportive of this bylaw. I've discussed this with several farmers. Farmers let me know that basically if you're taking your boots out to the chickens in the farm and in their barns and so on, the biosecurity hazard if you now take those same boots and walk into your house or go to the grocery store, etc., and so on. So I'm quite dissatisfied with this bylaw, but I've not made any bones about that. So biosecurity would be the first reason. Water quality, especially in compact residential areas, I'm just quite concerned about that. Also, it's just a pilot project, so I'm hopeful that we have everybody, following the guidelines and that it does work well. Our bylaw enforcement, and this bylaw still states that the police would be called, but we are hopeful and encouraging that we would send people through the bylaw enforcement to go through the proper mechanism if there are any concerns. Anyway, I would ask for a recorded vote on this, please.
Yep, that's fine. Clerk Turner, can we do a recorded vote at the time of the... yes, it has been introduced, but at the time of the vote, we could do the recorded vote. So I'm going to transfer it to you then. But I do have some other questions before we're at that stage. Councillor Hutchison, please.
Yes, I also had some reservations with this bylaw, but I'd like to make a note that on 9.1 of the bylaw, it states that this is, it'll be in effect for a one-year trial period only, commencing from the date of passage. And then at that time, hopefully we will have a staff report that we can reevaluate this program.
Yes. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? Not on this side. Councillor Hamilton, then.
Just a comment to say I was really pleased with how we responded to the request. We put a survey out to the public. We held a public meeting. We've really done our due diligence in participating with the community and getting a sense of concerns and support. So very supportive of this. I think it's very responsible, one-year pilot. Looking forward to a real success with this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? No? All right, Clerk Turner, it's your turn.
Sure. Councillor Hamilton.
Yes.
Councillor Herger.
No.
Councillor Hutchison.
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Hutchison.
Yes.
Mayor Robinson.
Yes.
Councillor Shea.
Yes?
The bylaw 5 of 2020 is approved 5-1.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to sign it before I deal with the other one. Okay. Thank you. All right, moving on. A move by Councillor Shea, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Be it resolved that bylaw number 6-2020, being a bylaw to further amend zoning bylaw number 37-2006 as amended, to facilitate the keeping of hens in certain circumstances, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Questions? Questions? Councillor Herger?
I do have a question.
Yep.
If the previous bylaw, being number 5, is rescinded, is this bylaw number 6 rescinded after 1 year?
Clerk Turner, in
does it
terms
come
of
up? Yeah.
the procedures with regard to the zoning bylaw before us.
There would have to be amendment to the comprehensive zoning bylaw. These provisions, they'd have to be repealed as well.
But easy enough to do through a rescind bylaw
Correct.
6 of 2020.
Yes,
Thank
yeah.
you.
So just further to that, so the revisions to the comprehensive zoning bylaws applies to the hens. So for this bylaw only, we do have to give notice of passing, and there is a 20-day appeal period. So that notice will go out in either the Post or possibly the Spotlight, and then that notice will be given also obviously on our website. So if there's no appeal, then it'll be in effect as well.
Okay. All right, further? Yep.
If someone wished to appeal, how would they appeal? Call you. Call Mark Turner.
Yeah, and there'll be the ads. There is an appeal mechanism through the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, also known as LPAT. So there'd be a form, you could do a letter or a fill out. There is a fee. I'm not sure the amount, but there is an appeal form to LPAT. A few $100s, I believe, but that can be confirmed. I think it's $300.
Is there also an LPAT appeal education center or something like this too? They used to have a bit of information because it was a new system. I'm not sure if that's gone.
Yeah, I think everyone needs educated with LPAT because it's changed the form and the function of it twice in the last year or so. So I would suspect if you want to Google Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, numerous articles will come up and will be of assistance to inform ratepayers or council for that matter of what that's involved and what the function of LPAT is.
Further? On the motion for the bylaw, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carries. Okay. So that's number 6. Number 7. Moved by Councillor Hamilton, seconded by Councillor Hutchison. Be it resolved that bylaw number 7-2020 being a bylaw to approve and authorize the execution of the 2020 Household Hazardous Waste Program Municipal Partnership Agreement between the Municipality of West Grey and the City of Owen Sound be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Questions? Comments? All right, on the motion, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Hutchison, seconded by Councillor Hamilton. Be it resolved that bylaw number 8-2020 being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and CAO/deputy clerk to enter into the Ontario Transfer Payment Agreement between the Municipality of West Grey and Her Majesty the Queen in right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Community Safety and Correctional Services, in brackets the province, end of bracket, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed as amended and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Councillor Hutchison.
Point of order.
Yep.
Did we miss bylaw number 7?
Nope, we did not. But on that,
Household hazardous waste?
so,
Oh, okay, so, all right. I just thought we were going in order, but not necessarily.
yeah. So I just, for clarity, I just want to let you know, okay, for that, the mover was Councillor Hamilton and seconder was yourself, but that that was item 7 and bylaw number 7, and yep, bylaw number 6.
So did we pass that?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry, I missed it.
That's okay.
I was-
There's no
Yeah.
question that
Okay.
should not be answered.
problem.
So that's very appropriate. Okay, so I have, it's been duly moved and second and read with regard to proposed bylaw number 8. Any questions, comments, or concerns with regard to proposed bylaw number 8-2020? All right, on the motion, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. And I can tell you, Councillor, for all members of council, after it's moved and seconded, and if, should it be carried, I do a check mark and a signature before we move on. So that, it's a good thing. And there is a good question when you have a point of order, for sure.
No problem. I was probably reading, thinking I was going to make a comment, and I missed it, so it's okay. No problem.
Okay.
And just a comment with this one, this is the one that we made the amendment, right, already through the, right? So that was included in that,
Yes.
right?
So when the question came up during the staff report,
Right.
And you had identified there needed to be a change within the attachment, we had just identified, we being the clerk and myself, to put it as amended, clarified it at that time, so when it was read for passage, it was also identified as amended.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Councillor Hergert.
I'd like to hear Councillor Hutchison's comment on the household hazardous waste. It seemed like you were jumping back to that. Did you have a
Sorry.
comment you wanted to share?
I did, if I may. Is that possible?
I think what I'd like to do is just finish off the bylaws, and then we can just finish them all off. We're almost done, and then go for the question on that, just for
It wasn't a
sake of
question, it was just a
procedure.
statement, but it's okay.
It was a statement?
Yeah.
Still needs to be
Yeah.
identified. Okay, moved by Councillor Shea, seconded by Councillor Hergert. Be it resolved that bylaw number 9-2020 being a bylaw to enter into a contract agreement with Cheryl Roberts for the provision of animal control officer services be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Comments, first with our clerk, and then Councillor Hamilton, please.
So this bylaw changes Ms. Roberts' title from canine control officer solely to animal control officer. So that will give her the latitude to deal with livestock running at large, for instance, and also for hens. So her responsibilities were somewhat beyond just canine now. And then it also reflects, the increase in the hourly rate that was recommended for approval.
Councillor Hamilton first, and then if there's anyone else.
Thank you. Just a question for staff. Ms. Roberts, in her presentation when she was here last, brought forward some recommendations that would keep this revenue neutral. That's the goal. So when could we expect a revised fee schedule from staff regarding the animal control fees and bylaws?
Madam CAO?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for the question, Councillor. We are proposing that those fees would be incorporated into the fee schedule review, which is another part of the budget process. The treasurer's just left the building, but I can send that date.
Okay, further? Any questions? All right, it's been read. So on the motion, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Okay, I'm just going to do one more bylaw, Councillor Hutchison, and then your question. So with regard to the final bylaw here, moved by Councillor Hergert, seconded by Councillor Shea. Be it resolved that bylaw number 10-2020, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the January 28th, 2020 council meeting, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that said bylaw be signed by the mayor clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Comments, questions on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Councillor Hutchison, your statement with regard to the bylaw.
Right, so bylaw number 7, it just talks about the household hazardous waste agreement we have with the city of Owen Sound. And as the public knows, that we also bring in a trailer during the summer months to collect our household hazardous waste. We've had a number of discussions about looking at doing something in West Grey ourselves in terms of a trailer and setting up our own household hazardous waste system. So I just wanted to put that out there to make sure people are aware that that's happening. We've had discussions. I'm not sure how much it's out there in the public, but we are looking at doing something locally, and hopefully in the future it will maybe save us some money, and also it will give residents greater access. So that's something we're looking at, and looking forward to possibly making happen in within the next year or so, put it that way.
So at the Committee of the Whole meeting earlier today, I was requested by the committee to bring forward the discussion on the possible cancellation of the February 4th, 2020 council meeting, just given the short time frame in between the meetings. So if council wishes, I do have a motion prepared that could be entertained as a direct motion with 2/3 majority. Actually, a few other direct motions I'll introduce at that time to see if I get 2/3. And we'll wait to see if there's other new business.
Go first and then go.
Sure, okay. Again, from the committee of the whole meeting earlier today, there's actually 5 resolutions asking for council's consideration to introduce as a direct motion, again through 2/3 majority. One relates to the Soggy Mobility and Regional Transit, member municipalities, and actually supporting a motion of the Township of Southgate Council. 2 of the resolutions relate from the Durham District Horticultural Society, one regarding request for permission to plant trees and shrubs at the Durham entrance signs, and the other to allow what's called a refreshment vehicle or food truck during the Durham Herb Fair to be held on June 13th of this year. Another one relates to the West Grey Parks Recreation and Culture Local Committee of Ayton to license certain events. That was brought forward at the Committee of the Whole by the Recreation Supervisor, and again a resolution in recommending support from the Committee of the Whole, and then again the possible cancellation of the February 4th, 2020 council meeting.
So procedurally, can we entertain a 2/3
On these
vote
ones?
on all of them? Okay,
Yes.
would council be all right with that?
If council's okay with it,
Yep, all right, so let's see if everyone's in favor of notice of motion or direct motion on this. All those in favor, opposed if any, carried. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Shea, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby grants an exemption pursuant to Section 8.1 of Refreshment Vehicle Licensing Bylaw Number 83-2009, including waiving of the licensing fee to permit a refreshment vehicle on Queen Street North, Durham, during the Durham Herb Fair event being held on June 13, 2020 at the Durham Town Hall property, as requested by the Durham and District Horticultural Society, subject to the approval of the Director of Infrastructure and Public Works and the Chief of Police, save and accept approval being required by the Grey Bruce Health Unit, and a certificate/letter being received relating to the Ontario Propane Code, as recommended by the Committee of the Whole. Comments? Questions? On the motion, all those in favor? Opposed, if any, carried. Thank you for, Councillor Hamilton, for telling me about my microphone. Good. Moved by Councillor Hergert, seconded by Councillor Shea. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby approves the request by the West Grey Parks, Recreation and Culture Local Committee, in brackets Ayton, to license all events requested to be licensed as contained within the Recreation Supervisor Report, save and accept the Normanby Arena Hall only being licensed for the ACL tournament, and that the Ayton Picnic Shelter only being licensed for the holiday tree lighting as recommended by the Committee of the Whole. Questions or comments? On the, yes, Councillor Hergert.
Yes, so earlier today, we had a meeting from our insurance company who walked us through risk management, and I'm sure with staff's involvement, we will be able to ensure that it's a safe, healthy event and that we can have many more of these.
Thank you. On the motion, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. All right. Moved by Deputy Mayor Hutchison, seconded by Councillor Shea. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby cancels the February 4th, 2020 council meeting. Comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Okay. So that takes care of the direct motions from today's Committee of the Whole meeting. Councillor Hamilton, please.
Thank you. So procedurally, Clerk Turner, would I read it out loud? And then we ask to get it on the table? Is that correct? Okay. I have two motions. Given that we have just moved to cancel next week's council meeting, one, I'm going to make a direct motion, and another motion will be a notice of motion. So I'll deal with the direct motion first. I did print these off for you to follow along. I apologize for the length of the first one.
It's just fine.
Okay, very good. So the first one, this is hot on the heels of us having purchased land and making these steps forward for a police station. So, whereas West Grey Council is committed to open, transparent, and timely communication, whereas West Grey Police Services is committed to working with citizens to become one of the best community-oriented police services in Ontario, whereas the municipality recently purchased property for the building of a new West Grey Police Services building, whereas West Grey Council is committed to invest and investigate innovative solutions for infrastructure challenges, whereas West Grey Council declared a climate crisis and is committed to integrating sustainable best practices into municipal operations, whereas the municipality will be going through the necessary planning processes before finalizing and issuing a request for proposal, RFP, for the design and construction of the new police station. Therefore, be it resolved that prior to issuing the RFP for the design and construction of the new police station, that the West Grey Police Building Services Committee, in conjunction with appropriate staff, provide a report to council which includes a background, so there's a few things here. So A, background summary and vision for the new police station. B, estimated timeline and phases until project completion. C, estimated cost for the entire project, including land, building, furnishing, moving costs. D, possible funding sources, which may include grants, partnerships, sponsorships, selling of assets. E, integration of environmental best practices, which may include LEED certified or net zero energy design. F, community engagement and communication plan. G, projections for the future use of the current police building. and H, define the land required for the police station and explore other uses and/or disposition of surplus land.
It's very appropriate, and thank you for this. A report would be attached to a proposed RFP anyway. That would just be part of our entire process. But to have the notice of motion with the types of items that you're looking for is certainly welcome, and it's certainly something that I could support. It was an item that we would be bringing forward anyway, so this is just wonderful to have it enshrined in the minutes. So, okay, is there any other comments? So Clerk Turner, could we get, we've already had the 2/3 on this, could we just call for, so get a 2/3 on this and then we could deal with it at that. So introducing this as a direct motion requires a 2/3. Any questions on that? And then I will call the question. All those in favor of that? Opposed, if any, carried. Okay, so now we can deal with this again. It'll be moved by Councillor Hamilton, and we look for a seconder on that, Councillor Shea. And then okay, Clerk Turner, just procedurally, is it necessary to read it again, or you can just call the vote on it?
You can entertain council's wish on that.
Oh, okay. All right.
If they
So
wish it to
the
be
clerk
read
is-
again.
I'm asking the clerk.
Sorry, if
there's
council wishes
procedure.
it to be read again, then I think you can, if they don't, then I think it's fine to proceed.
Okay. Do you want it read again? Okay. Okay. So are you fine with that? Okay. So I just need that established. So you have a question, please proceed, Councillor
I don't have a
Berger.
question, but I would like to thank Councillor Hamilton for bringing this forward. I think this encapsulates a lot of council's questions and frankly, the public. So thank you for bringing it forward, and it seems all inclusive.
Yeah. Perfect. Anything further? All right. So on the motion? Oh, Councillor Shea.
Just to clarify, the request is to have a report before issuing the RFP. You said something about a report being attached to the RFP?
Well, no, we would, I mean, it's in terms of timing, a report of this nature would need to come forward anyway before there's consideration for the RFP. So whether it's attached to a draft RFP or whether we have the report in advance, that can be worked out. But certainly it's a report that would be a necessary step regardless.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, further? Okay. Nobody wants it read again? On the motion, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. And that was unanimously carried. So I'm just going to sign this copy. Okay. And I'm also going to put a check mark for carried so that that is consistent with how we deal with things. Okay, you have a second one.
Thank you. So this one, I will keep it as a notice of motion, and this is on the back of your page. It's much shorter. Whereas members of council are appointed to various committees and boards from which minutes are regularly received for information by council, whereas members of council are committed to open, transparent, and timely communication, whereas some members of council have expressed interest in having regular verbal reports and dialogue regarding committee and board activities, therefore be it resolved that 3 committee of the whole meetings be added to the 2020 meeting calendar for the purpose of committee, board, Grey County, and conference updates.
Questions? All right, so that will be introduced at the next meeting. Okay, so that's fine. Thank you for that. All right, are there any other notices of motion, direct motion? Okay. Item 18, which is closed session incomplete items only, that is an NA. Item 19, matters arising from closed session incomplete items only, again an NA. Item 20, question period. Are there any questions from people in the audience? Okay. Item 21, Clerk Turner, are there any municipal act notices? No, that is an NA. Adjournment on that, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Hutchison. On the motion to adjourn, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you very much. Good.